One of the forms of resistance in the world to U.S. hegemony is the BRICS country: Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. Now, they've joined in a monetary union to try to challenge the power of the United States, which essentially controls the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank for their economic benefit. This is no new world order kind of conspiracy. This is literally just the economics of capitalism. And that the most powerful capitalist entity, which would be the United States, is using their influence over those institutions, which frankly they set up themselves, to control other places and to undermine the powers of others. Well, now there's a significant economic power from other countries around the world to undermine that and to, at least in capitalist terms, defend themselves from the economic hegemony of the United States. And that would be the BRIC countries, many of them being seen as, in third worldist terms, you could probably see them as second world countries. Not really first world countries, but not exactly third world countries either, on the continuum between the two. But that's keeping it very vague. Now, what's very interesting is that these countries are now getting together to create their own consumer payment system. One that would go around the one that we use on a day-to-day basis: credit cards, debit cards, etc. Now, what they're going to do is they're currently researching the necessary technologies to launch the system. Now, they say it will be something similar to Apple Pay or Samsung Pay. It'll allow people with smartphone app, no matter what currency their country uses, as long as it's linked to their bank account. Now, the information would then go to a special cloud platform to be created to link the BRICS countries as a national payment system. So we're seeing something very significant here. And this is not quite like in Apple Pay, where essentially you're really just conforming to the U.S. government. You're just using Apple as a roundabout way to use the exact same thing. This is a proposal of something completely different. This is an entirely different payment system altogether. Now, I'm not saying this is something that's going to be an alternative and it's going to bring down the U.S. government, or it's something that's going to possibly cause war. I sincerely doubt it's anything like that. This really is like an Apple thing, but done differently through a different set of authorities, the authority of the BRICS countries, as opposed to the traditional system used by the United States. What's interesting is that this will essentially undermine the U.S. dollar to a degree, because this will give an ability to use other currencies without having to pass through the U.S. dollar. Of course, if you still use the U.S. dollar, you're still going to be able to make payments in that, and you'll still be able to use your money, etc. But this will allow a circumventing of going through those systems where normally you would have to, between countries, convert things into U.S. dollars in order to settle accounts. This would avoid that altogether. So this will continue to undermine the U.S. dollar to an even further degree. That's if this gets off the ground and starts being used, which it looks like it probably will. But you never know what could come up to try to sabotage this, especially knowing the United States. But this is part of a larger effort by a lot of countries to undermine the power of the United States, particularly the power of the U.S. dollar, which holds tremendous power over the entire world economy. And as we've seen in the last 5, maybe 10 years, there's been a challenge to that. More so in the last 3 or 5 years, there's been a significant effort by the BRICS countries to build that kind of alternative because they are so marginalized within the current system, IMF World Bank, which is controlled by the United States. So this is very, very interesting. This is providing a possible future total alternative to those institutions. Now, obviously, you can't say the BRICS countries and their organizations can really rival the IMF and the World Bank at this time. But it is possible that in the future, they will have the power to do so. And that's what's going to make them dangerous. Now, it's not until we get to that point that we might start seeing increased military hostilities between countries. We already see them right now between the United States and Russia and China, because they are global economic actors challenging U.S. hegemony. They're increasing the size of their economies and wielding more power inside of it. And that's why we have to deal with so many things. Russia stole the election, China's not conducting trade fairly, etc., etc. So this is something to look forward to. This is something that, in my personal opinion, I really hope this kind of thing takes off. Because this will give the world some kind of choice, even though essentially it's still capitalism and it's not really a choice. You're still conducting yourself within the capitalist system. But it's going to be very interesting to watch how capitalism manages to deal with this change. And more importantly, try to see how the United States will deal with it. For there's something possibly in the future being a serious competitor for its global power, or more specifically, the power of the US dollar. Thank you for watching. If you like this program, then please head over to my Patreon page and set up a monthly donation. It's your donations that keep this program running. Also, if you would like, please rate, comment, subscribe, and share in various social media.